going to continue on from our first video, looking at Maya's rigging tools. So obviously this is our own custom rig that we're starting to put together. The first thing that we need to start doing is adding in any additional joints that we might require. So I'm just going to open up Windows, Outliner, so we can see our structures. We should have mesh and rig, any of our mesh data, any of our rigging data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then select the mesh, the group mesh, and I'm going to go to unbind skin, delete history. I'm not too fussed about it. On the whole, it's working quite well. I'm going to go to side view now, and I'm going to start adding in any additional joints that we need to add. Make sure we're not working with that. Create joints, and then let's start looking at adding in a series of joints for this tail. There we go, and then shift parent. There we go. These are the joints for the tail. So we're having a few issues with the ribs, so skeleton, create joints, and let's start perhaps looking at adding in additional rib joints. So just to sort of ease any areas where the mesh has been over deformed perhaps. So let's maybe have a little look at this. So sometimes this is really useful to use like little rib type tools. So select this joint, shift, P, parent. Now select this joint and then just go to mirror joints. So we're starting to slowly, I mean we could add in additional joints if we really need to, but I don't think we need to at this stage. Then what I'm going to do again, skeleton, create joints. Let's just do the same for this sort of area here. So this is one of my students' models. First time that she's used Maya. She's done a really good job. There are a few areas that maybe need tidying up. Just maybe down here could be a little more rounded, but on the whole she's done a great job for her first go at 3D. A very good first attempt at Maya. So just comparing this to this joint there. There we go. Skeleton or joint. There we go. So we're slowly starting to add in more joints. So what we'll do, select the root of the skeletal chain. Again, I'm going to hold command, select this group. I'm working in the outliner here when I'm selecting these elements. You could just marquee to and grab everything from the mesh, but this is slightly cleaner. Skin, find skin, and then we'll go. It's going to start. We've deleted the history from the previous skinned bit of mesh, and this should now work a little better. So before when we were bending this leg, it was really crumpling in. Now when we bend it forward, much less so. It's given us a nicer kind of pull, you know, a little less work. There still will be work to do, but it'll be a little easier for us to work with this now. But we're getting some nicer results in terms of how this mesh is bending, and we should get much the same sort of result with this leg, which we pretty much are. There might, again, a little bit of tidying up, and this is where we'll be looking at the skin and width, paint width, sorry. So yeah, let's see there. I mean, that's not too bad. A little bit of influence pulling these parts of the leg, no big deal. A little bit of work, but on the whole, it works quite well. Let's have a look at this leg here. A little bit of flex, but again, that's not horrendous. And maybe on the, yeah, you're still getting a nice little bit of flex. You know, let's have a little look up here. Is that crumpling in? Maybe we need to add in an additional rib type joint just in the front here to sort of correct any issues. And then we can start working upwards to this part of the skeleton. So let's go back to skin, go to bind pose, select the mesh or group, and then go to unbind skin. And then let's just draw in a few corrected joints here. So create a joint here. We'll go, maybe what we'll do is we'll have a little look. So perhaps we'll snap this to that vertex there. Select this joint here, parent, and go to mirror. Okay, so that should kind of alleviate things a little bit there. So again, this is kind of interesting. When we go to skeleton, create joints, let's just plot a joint here for this side, because we want this to retain the volume as much as possible at these sort of key areas, and that's kind of what will happen here. So just plotting these down just under these sort of key areas where we're getting a little bit too much flex. So just going to pop that there, pop that, so give that to it here. And let's position this here. And remember, like I said, when we're drawing these joints, this is on the center line here on this world axis. So then we'll need to just position this. Will effectively save you painting weights. But if it is required that you can just work paint weights, then just work paint weights. But this is an alternate way of kind of working with it. You could put ribs sort of front and back to sort of allow it to retain more of the volume. And again, that's something that we might explore moving forward. So mirror, so it's end joint, hit G to mirror, hit G to mirror. So let's maybe see what we're getting. So select the rig, command, select the mesh, go back to skin, and it'll just recalculate it all. So we've added in, or we're starting to add in, a number of corrective joints to sort of alleviate any problems that we might be having in how this mesh is deforming. It's a lot softer on the front here, down here. Maybe looks a little bit more natural. It's just saving us masses and masses of work when it comes to skinning. This is the joint for the whole of the front, so maybe we might need to actually look at the structure of how this works. Perhaps maybe we need to add in an additional joint there, which is fine. See there how this is holding more of the volume there? It's fine again. Maybe these two joints there should be repositioned up. So as a quick way, let's just go to bind pose, and rather than going back through the whole sort of detached skinning, let's select these two joints. Very specific way of working with skin, and let's go down to move skin joints. So now actually move these skin joints, and just click off, and it should be done. There we go. Now if we start rotating, you should be getting some slightly different. If anything, that's actually made it worse. So there are different ways that you can, not too bad to be fair, you're getting a little bit of movement, maybe a bit of pulling on there, that's not so great. Okay, so let's go back to bind pose, let's select the mesh, skin, unbind skin, and then let's just start adding in a few more little corrective joints. And there is no sort of rule to this. You're just examining kind of what's working, what isn't working. So I'm selecting this joint. I'm going to actually delete this joint because we've just added in all of this skeleton mirror just down on the side here. And then let's just position this down here a little bit. But then, because you've got to think, this is like the hips. We want that to be, like I said, there's a few ways we could do it. We could add more influence to these parts of the joint, which we can do. But for quickness, let's maybe have a little look at this, explore this. And let's just parent that to that, and again, skeleton mirror, and I'll just flip it. It's because it's working. And I've been working on this side, but it's because it would look basically at the different sort of joint configuration. And let's just position that there. That's not so bad. We're starting to get a lot of joints within. And if you shift select and expand the skeletal chain, you can start to see that you're getting a really complex kind of hierarchy to it. But this is the whole sort of nature and process of rigging. Okay, so let's select the skeleton, select the mesh, and let's go to skin, bind skin. And again, do its thing. So we're not too fussed about the back parts of the sort of quadruped here. We're a little bit more concerned about how this is all deforming, so this should give us more of a kind of twisting motion. That's pulling forward quite nice. You know, that's not so bad. Yeah, fine. We can maybe reduce the influence of this joint. That's fine. Not so bad. That's looking pretty decent. Yeah, again, paint weights. That's where paint weights will come in. And then let's have a little look here, what we're getting. That's better. It's working better, like when it stretches and compresses, getting something a little bit more natural perhaps. And then let's raise these arms. Let's just have a little look around. Let's try raising one of these at a time. A little bit more natural, less crumpling in. And again, we can adjust this influence. That's better. It's a little bit more natural. It's not as bad. And again, something to look at and something to maybe mention is when you come to rig, your characters, think of how you cut into the mesh as well, and that will really help how the model sort of deforms. But on the whole, that's not too bad. So first attempt, that's pretty good. So like there, maybe like just like where the neck is kind of compressing down there, like sort of down here. Maybe we need to look at that. The arm area is pretty good. So go back to bind pose, select the mesh, detach the skin, and bind skin, and then let's just maybe start adding in one or two little corrective bits there, and then we're working on the head after that. So there we go, let's plop that there, let's have a little look. So again, like I was saying before, all of these front and all of the joints that you place from the orthographic views will work in the flat plane that you're working on. If I try to then create a joint and just sort of try to place it here, it's actually going to draw it over there. It's based on camera projection. You can see that I'm trying to put it there. It's nowhere near. But just something for you to think about when you come to place the joints. You're far better off using the orthographic views, so front, side, top, whatever. But bear in mind when you place them, they are going to be flat, placed flat on these axes. It's a really key thing to point out. I'm just going to position this joint here, and then let's maybe parent it to this joint here, select this joint there, mirror, lovely. Let's see what we're getting, and then select this, select the root of the rig, or we could just select the root of the rig from here. The root is the top node. Then select the group. If we go to skin, bind skin, same again. And it is a little bit of a kind of rinse and repeat type of process, but it's given us the results. And I'll show an example after of it's still flexing, but this joint here will give us more control when we start to paint in the weights. It's given us a nice bend of it going when the arm's down, up. It just maybe needs a little bit more influence on this joint here, which we'll look at in the next video. Okay, so the neck, that looks pretty good. Pulling the head back, pretty nice. A few things that we need to look at is, depending on how you want to go about this, the joints for the hair parts. And then we need to look at the way that the ears are actually influenced as well, and these horns or antlers. That's pretty good. So that's for the neck. And then if you kind of wanted to rotate the head a little more. Okay, that's pretty good. Right, so then go to bind pose. Let's select the mesh, unbind skin. And it's just a kind of back and forth sort of process. Could then quickly add in joints here, just again, purely for when your character is moving. You might want to add in a little bit of movement within these. And again, parent, skin, mirror, just little things as you're working through the rig you might kind of notice. You think, oh, actually that might be quite a decent thing to add. Side view, back to skeleton. Let's create this sort of hair skeletal shape, and then we should probably have a joint maybe here, and then a joint perhaps here. That'll do. Select this, parent to that, select this, parent to that. So we've got this, and then let's say we're going to draw in joints for the eyes, and you might think, well, why do we need to draw in joints for the eyes? Because really what we'd look to do perhaps is parent this joint to the eye. Parent the eye to the joint, sorry. So I'm just going to move this over, and then snap to the root, And then we're going to look at, very quickly, we'll touch on constraints. So we want this joint to be the very center of this eye. So if we select the eye, shift select the joint, and then go to constraint point, it will basically move this joint to the very center of this eye, the positional point of that eye, and we'll move that constraint. So this is dead on the center of this eye. The reason that we want to do that was maybe when it comes to setting up the rigging of the eye, we might want to have this joint control the eye, rotate the eye, move the eye, etc. So it's really important. So we're just going to mirror that. That's pretty good. And then let's have a look at the skeleton, create joint. I'm just going to put this joint. This is pretty much the jaw there. Maybe what we could do is maybe that's a little high. Parent to there, parent to there. So that one will come to rotate that. That's going to be to there. And then maybe, like we were looking at in the last video, there's different ways that you can rig characters for facial controls, but let's maybe have a little look at rigging our characters for just adding kind of, I'm just hitting Command D. Say if we wanted to add in a number of very simple sort of expressions, this is one option that you could use. It's quite an old school way of doing it, but you could use blend shapes, which we could look at, which basically would mean breaking this mesh, the head off, and creating a series of blend shapes, which we can also look at as well. But this is just one approach. Actually, that's what I might do. I might set this tutorial up for rigging with bones, and then a sort of alternate version where it's rigging with blend shapes. That might be kind of cool. Okay, so hit Command D. All I'm doing is position these roughly to where I kind of think they should be going. Command D. Again, if you want to add some expression, all I'm doing is hitting Command D, and let's just slide this along there. That's pretty okay. If we're wanting for a range of expressions, perhaps, then select Command D. That's pretty decent. And then the next and final part is going to the front view and plotting down sort of controls for your character's ears. G, and I'm just going to plot a control there and then parent that to there. So we've got an ear joint. Let's just position that back a touch, just position it a little, and that's fine. Select this joint, parent to this, skeleton, mirror, parent this to this. So it's quite, you can see it's quite a complex skeleton. But like I say, there are many ways to look at this rigging process. And again, this could likely change, so we just need to have a little think about this. This is going to change like the jaw, and it's going to individual control of the ears, different areas of the face that we might need to control. Mirror, and just like this, hit G. I'm just going to hit Command D on there, so you might want to make a face more of a sort of snarl, perhaps. Obviously, it would be more beneficial to add more polygons in here, but ultimately we will still be able to get a range of expression from that. So hit G, hit G, hit G. So there we go. On the whole, that is kind of it. I think that's pretty deep. There's a lot of skeletal information within that, and I think there's a few different areas that we'll maybe look to clean up. Let's have a look at that. So yeah, just a few joints out on here. Yeah, so there's just the nose. Yeah, you kind of see that we're out of that rig group, and that's what was really useful when I was drawing the joints. So you can see there we've got a really complex skeleton. So select the root of the rig, select the group, and then go to skin, bind skin. So let's just have a little sort of play around with what we've got with our rig at the moment. I'm just going to rotate. Let's see there. It's standing pretty decent. Pretty well. Yeah, that's okay. Do have control over shoulders, clavicles, sorry. And again, this is where we might need to use, like, this is where these extra joints kind of come in as sort of corrective weights for character rig. Um, and these could be influenced. So maybe what we need to do on there actually is add in further ribbon. And that's something that we might look at. So let's have a little look at the ears. So yeah, we can see there, and this is something where your paint weights would come in. You select these, you can see there how we'll jiggle on the ears, and we'll kind of want that to not influence these. And this is where this sort of area of the top part of the head would maybe be influenced a lot more, or this would actually have more influence there. And you can see on the whole that's working okay. So this is your whole head kind of control. It looks pretty good. Side to side looks pretty good. We're getting a good range of motion from that. I'm pretty happy with the clavicle on the whole. It just needs to have a little bit of a tweak there when the arms. It's just this little bit of influence there that needs looking at. And that's something we can look at in the next video. But on the whole, it's quite a complex rig that we've created. And where we'll definitely need to look at things, weights in particular, is the fingers. You always need to be looking at. No, they're not too bad, to be fair. Yeah, see there how I'm moving that finger. It's pulling a little bit of influence there. But on the whole, for a quick rig that we've created, that's pretty good. It's taken a bit of time to sort of go through, but this is generally the process that I would use to sort of develop a rig. Let's just have a little look at these kind of facial controls. So obviously, we need to look at the skinning of the mouth and the jaw a little more, perhaps, but on the whole, that's not so bad. These individual cluster points, you can see there how we're getting little ranges of expression within that. The nose, the tip of the nose, and sort of snarl. Again, it's just an issue of painting the weight. One thing that I will point out is these eyes. Obviously, we added a joint in for the eyes. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'll put this mesh back to the bind pose, go to bind pose. And then what we'll do is select the mesh, and then go to unbind skin, and then select each individual eye, and then shift select. This kind of only applies to eyes really. So select the eye, the eyeball, or the model, the eyeball that you might have created. Shift select the joint, hit P. Now this eyeball is parented to this. So we don't need to have this. Actually, won't now be within this mesh group. So select the eye, shift select the joint, hit P, and you can see that's removed as well. So let's have a little look, and I'll explain what's kind of happening, what that actually enables us to do. So again, and I'll just keep that group as is, because you might want it to have had hair, cloth, clothing, whatever. But we'll just use the exact same rigging process. So select the rig, the root of the rig, and hold command, select the mesh, group, skin, bind skin. So you might think, what's that done, Chris? Well, what it's actually done is, before, I don't know if you noticed, when it was skinned, you didn't actually have any control over the eyeball. But then let's say we start to rotate this head around. It's still attached to the rigging sort of solve almost, but we've got full control of the eyes now. So there we go. We can have our go cross-eyed. Yeah, so maybe you don't want that. And this is something really important as well. Let's just zero those out. Let's go back to the bind pose, go to mesh, bind pose, and make sure that if you do anything like that, like parenting elements to joints, you can see here we select them all, select each eye. We've got different translational values. This has been parented to this joint. The pivot point of this joint is the very center of these eyes. So really what we want to do is we don't want to have any offset there. So let's go modify, freeze, transform, and it'll zero those out. And then make sure you go to edit, delete by type history as well. And purely all that does is, let's say you accidentally grab an eyeball or something like that and you pull it out, then, okay, if I just zero that out, bang, right, it's back to the eye, back to that position. So, okay. So the next stage for these videos, look at the paint weights and the influences. So we've done a lot of corrective kind of stuff here, which works really, really nicely. We've given ourselves a nice bit of control with these different sort of elements. And now, like I was saying before, how if we rotate this arm, we could then use this as a corrective sort of blend shape, almost sort of make that look a little more natural, a little less sort of imprecise almost. And then if we go back to skin, go to bind pose, it then corrects that anyway. So any kind of values, it resets it. Okay, so in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at paint and skin weight.